Hey everyone, this is Everten. In this video is to show you the installation of the Everten Taito F3 I/O board. This board gives you line level stereo audio out of the RCA connectors and a CPS2 kick harness for the 6-button game Kaiser Knuckle, which goes by a few other names, but I'm pretty sure that's the only F3 game that supports the kick harness. His board mounts directly to the audio heatsink. It uses the S connector for audio and the AA connector for the kick harness. When you get your kit, it'll include the wire harness to connect it to the AA connector. You'll get the board and a bag with a little interconnect board for the S connector and some sacrificial screws that are going to help you put threads into the audio heatsink. Now when you get the board, it'll already have the mounting screws installed. You don't need to take these off. It'll just make it more difficult for you to screw it down onto here. The screws, the washers and the nuts rather, act as standoffs to keep the board above this row of capacitors here. And I tried to use standoffs on this, but it's too difficult to line everything up and drop it down. So the nuts ended up being the most practical way to do this. The first thing we need to do is put threads into the heatsink here. So I included some extra screws so we don't ruin the mounting screws that are already on the board. These are 6mm M3 screws, and that gives us enough thread down to catch these. These are 10mm, and with the nut and everything, it's about 6mm of thread showing. So what you want to do is take these sacrificial screws and slowly screw them into the aluminum heatsink to create threads. Just go slow, make sure you're going straight. I never had a problem. This is a new heatsink I haven't touched yet. I have another board here that has the Lions 3 case on it, and I'm showing this first without the case, and after we do this one I'll show you how it works with the Lions case. You can do this with a thread tap. I don't have one, so that's why I'm using this method. I assume most people don't have a tap. I have stripped the screw heads doing this. That's why I'm including a couple of these screws. Just toss the screws when you're done. Make sure you don't go too far down. You'll end up stripping the aluminum threads that you're creating. I'm going down just so I barely touch the screw head to the heatsink. Okay. So now we want to take the little interconnect board with the writing facing out and connect it down onto the S connector. The board will also have it'll probably have a little protector here that I'm printing up to cap these header pins so they don't get damaged when I ship them. Make sure you remove that. And then we want to take the wire harness and plug the smaller end goes into the board. We want to connect that before mounting the board. You won't be able to get this harness on after the board is mounted, so we need to do it now. And I found the easiest way to do this is to bend these wires up and over the board and just hold them as you're trying to mount this down. This can be tricky. So the idea is to line these header pins up with the small interconnect board and also the 2 screws with the 2 holes here that we just threaded. This wire needs to be bent back quite a bit to make it fit. And then just make sure your header pins are falling down into this S connector and lining up okay. And then you can start screwing these screws down. Make sure that the nuts underneath are slightly loose before you do this. It'll just make it much easier to screw down. And I just go a couple turns on each side so it lowers down evenly. And then just while you're doing it, make sure that the headers on the S connector are going down with it. And again, don't over tighten this. You can sort of watch through the hole cut out here. Once the nuts touch the top of the heat sink, you should be good. Just double check that this is snug here, and we're good. And then the wire harness, I just bring it over. I tuck it a little bit underneath the board here and plug it down into the AA connector. My pins are a little bent here. Oh, I'm doing it backwards. That might be the problem. There we go. Okay. So that's it. It's mounted. Good to go. Now this also is compatible with the Lions case. I have another board here that has the Lions case on it. So if you do have the Lions case, what you want to do is unscrew this piece. I just flip it over like this, lay it up here, and remove, I don't have it on here now, but remove the left riser, and you'll have, I'll be selling this as part of the kit if people want it, or the STL file I'll post somewhere on Thingiverse or on the forums. You'll have to use the existing screw that mounts this down. It's easiest to put this on first before putting the IO board on. And this new riser has a cutout for the RCA connectors. I couldn't figure out any other way to do this and make it compatible with the Lions case. All right, so we should be good with that. Same idea, you take the interconnect. I'm not going to do the wire harness on this one. Same idea as the other one though. Line this up with everything. You screw it down slowly, alternate. And you'll see there is some interference with the riser. You just have to bend it back slightly as you're screwing so it slides underneath. And there's just enough clearance for those screw heads. Once this is down, so once that's in, you just drop this on. and it's good to go. That's it. Enjoy, guys.